How long do you think it takes to get a full set of gold equipment on one of your branches? I'll tell you in this video, but I'll give you a hint. I don't think top war is going to last that long. Equipment is special items that you're able to equip to each of your branches to increase their stats depending on the item that you equip them with, as well as the quality of the item that you equip them with. The equipment function of the game is unlocked in the arsenal once you have reached level 65, after which you should be producing materials non-stop and never ever let this thing rest. To make equipment, you need two things. One, you'll need the blueprint to make the actual equipment, which we'll get to later in the video, and two, you'll have to produce the materials that are actually needed to craft the equipment. Under the Produce Materials tab, you'll find this page. Here you are able to pick from 7 different materials to craft them in batches of 10. Each batch of 10 white materials takes 2.5 hours. That breaks down to about 15 minutes for every piece of white material. Now, different quality equipment takes different qualities of material to make it, and as you can see here on the merge list, we have the full list of all the different materials as well as their varying qualities, white being the lowest quality, orange being the highest quality. To make different quality equipment, you simply have to merge your equipment up. It takes 4 white to make a green, 4 green for a blue, 4 blue for a purple, and of course 4 purple to make an orange. Now, as we already discussed, to make a white material that you're looking at 2.5 hours, which breaks down to 15 minutes per material. To make a green material, we need 4 whites, which breaks down to about an hour, but you can only do whites in batches of 10, so it's going to take you 2.5 hours. To do a blue material, you're looking at 5 hours, which is equal to 16 white material. To make a purple, it's going to take you 16 hours, and that is equal to 64 white material. And to make an orange, that's going to take you a whopping 2 days and 16 hours, or 256 white material per orange. Now, the times that I just stated is if the only way you're getting material is through producing it in your arsenal. There are other ways to get material in the game, which I will discuss a little bit later in this video. And let's say you're working on a blue equipment, for example, and you accidentally merge something up to a purple quality. You don't have to worry. It allows you to actually break down your material for the same amount that you put into it. The only thing is it will cost you gold to do so. So to break down an orange material, it costs you 325 DD, and each material you go down from there, it gets cheaper and cheaper. Once you hit level 80, the cost for reducing these down to their lower qualities doesn't even matter. It's a small enough amount of gold that if you accidentally overmerge, it basically costs you nothing to break it down. So you don't have to worry about accidentally overmerging, but of course you should avoid it, especially if you haven't reached level 80 yet. Earlier I said it takes 2 things to make materials. It actually takes 3. I did forget about the third thing, and that is gold. Different qualities of equipment take different qualities of gold. However, if you've hit level 80, the cost is almost insignificant. You'll notice purple at 568 EE. That's a slight cost, but still no problem compared to the amount of time it takes to get the materials together. And then orange, 2.27 FF, which is a decent cost, but again, nothing compared to the amount of time it takes to produce the materials for it. And then the third thing you'll need after the materials and the gold is the item's corresponding equipment blueprint. Now, I won't be talking about how to get blueprints for the blue, green, and white material because you usually skip over these very quickly and just get them passively through events. I'm going to talk about the purple and orange blueprints. Now, there are 2 different forms that you find equipment blueprints. The first form, and usually the one you see the most, with the exception of the gold material, is the random blueprint box. Most of your purple equipment will likely come from this. There are several events that drop it, events such as individual defense. Once you get far enough, you can get a random purple blueprint box. Of course, this gives you a random purple blueprint for any branch, any equipment. You have no idea what you're going to get. You just hope that you get something useful. But they're still worth going after if you see them available in events. What most people want to find is the blueprint choice box. The only place to reliably find this for purple blueprints is in the Baking Master event. Now, for some reason, the last time this event came around, they took the box out of there and replaced it with something different. There was a big upset in the community and they put it back in there. Hopefully it's in there to stay, but this is the only place to consistently get the purple blueprint choice box, and is definitely worth getting. However, a helpful tip for it, do not open the box unless you're ready to craft the equipment at that moment. You don't want to open this when you're just getting started making it, and then later on you get a random purple blueprint that just happens to be the one you need, and now your choice box is kind of wasted. So don't open these choice boxes until you're ready to craft the item that you want. Orange equipment blueprints as you can imagine, are much harder to obtain and or more expensive. They also operate a little bit differently than all other blueprints. Usually when you get a choice box, you can pick anything within that quality, or there is the random blueprint item that gives you a random blueprint. Orange does not have random blueprint boxes. They have only choice boxes. However, it only lets you pick within certain categories. So for example, the weapons orange box will only let you pick from these three. Then there's an armor, there's an engine, and then there's a radar, which the game calls peripheral. The chip is the only orange that you cannot get from a choice box, which I'll talk about where to get that in a moment. Now, the most common place to find orange equipment blueprints is through the Cupid's Arrow event. This event comes by once a month, and you either have to spend a lot of gems or a lot of gems and money to get these blueprints. However, each time the event comes around, there's a chance at getting 2 different orange blueprint choice boxes. Now, the type of box does change. For example, this most recent one, it had the weapon box and the armor box, but the one before that, it was armor and peripheral. So it changes as the event goes on. You'll just have to hope that it has the one you need and that you have enough gems to be able to get it. Another place that you can get orange equipment is through Eternal Lands. On the reward list for 20 ancient tokens, you are able to get a weapon choice box, but only the weapon. Another way is the Wheel of Fun that has been going around. About once a month, one of the Wheel of Funds is equipment, where you can get materials and or blueprints. Unfortunately, I would not advise to get orange blueprints from this event because they are incredibly expensive, almost on par with a level 7 hero exclusive skill. However, the one thing I'll say about the Wheel of Fun event, I believe the orange blueprint chest that you get from there is a true choice chest. It lets you pick any orange blueprint from any category, with the exception of the Pulse Jammer, because the Pulse Jammer is all sorts of special. Now, the stat increases that it gives aren't groundbreaking. You have a 40% attack bonus and 100% HP bonus for whatever unit branch that it's attached to, but its real bonus is incapacitating 2 random targets at the beginning of the battle, and they will not be able to perform a regular attack. Lasts 1 turn. So this means 2 random enemy units are going to be electrified and stunned for 1 round, and they won't be able to attack. However, oddly enough, they can still proc a hero's ability. So for example, if you're using Akatora, who procs off the first stack, and you jam the first stack, that unit won't do a regular attack. However, Akatora still goes off. So Pulse Jammer doesn't seem as good as it could be, but hey, there it is. However, the one and only way to get the Pulse Jammer, you guessed it, money. You are required to reach VIP 12, and you have to pay $100, or what's equivalent to the 6,400 gem pack, to obtain the Pulse Jammer blueprint. This is the one and only way to obtain it in the game, and there is no way to get more than one, which I know some people get upset about, but hear me out. If you had a march that had, for example, all Navy except for 2 slots in the back that had Army and Air Force, and all 3 branches had a Pulse Jammer on it, they could jam 6 of your units, and that seems a little bit overpowered, so I'm glad they only allow us to get 1. Now, a few fun facts and mechanics on how the equipment works. As you can see, all of the equipment, with the exception of the chips, which can go on any branch, all the equipment has specific branches that they can be equipped to. For example, the ICBM can only be equipped to Navy. And you can see their icons in the top left corner of each one. The tank is Army, the anchor is Navy, and the propeller is Air Force, of course. You'll also notice that within the same category, they always take the same amount of materials. So for example, under the weapon category, it is always 20 steel, 20 screws, and 30 tungsten. However, the quality changes depending on the color. Of course, if you're making orange, you need orange material. Blue, you need blue material. This same principle applies to all the other categories. They just use different types of materials, but the number of which always stays the same. As a result of this consistency, it always takes 4 times longer to make the next level equipment than it does the first level. So for example, it's going to take 4 times as long as a white material to make a green, 4 times as long to make a blue, 4 for purple, and then again 4 times as long to make an orange. Now, to make white, green, and blue equipment, you're looking at less than 12 days, of course blue being the longest. However, purple equipment is going to take you 46 days, and orange equipment is going to take you 6 months, which means to get a full set of orange equipment, you're looking at 2.5 years to get a full set of all 5 equipment on 1 branch. And since you can only get 1 Pulse Jammer, that means the other 2 branches are going to take 2 years each So to fully deck yourself out with orange equipment on all branches, assuming you can get the blueprints, you're looking at 6.5 years of material production. But of course, this is only if you get material solely from your production tab. There are other ways to get materials, which I will go over in a moment. You are also able to disarm equipment, and you will get back the materials that you put into it. The only thing this costs you is gold for disassembling it. And then, of course, the blueprint that was originally used to craft it was lost upon crafting, and you don't get that back when you disarm it. However, the benefit of getting all these materials back, let's say, for example, you wanted to make the orange army weapon, which is equivalent to 4 purple weapons. What some people will do is they'll make all 3 purple weapons, which you can always disarm to get those materials back. And if you have all 3 weapons, you get the benefit of having those on all 3 branches while you're still crafting your orange equipment. So they'll make all 3 weapons, and then they'll make what's equivalent to a 4th and just have those materials in your inventory. And once you've done that, you can disarm all of your purple equipment, and then you're able to make an orange equipment. Now, of course, this does mean you lose those purple blueprints for those other branches. So you weigh the pros and cons. Do you want to give up those blueprints in exchange for being able to temporarily use the item while you craft an orange equipment? Or do you just want the materials sitting in your inventory doing nothing for 6 months while you go to make the orange equipment? Depends on what your priorities are. It's just a fun fact to know, something that could be helpful. Now, when you're making your equipment, of course, I would prioritize whatever branch that you happen to main. So, for example, I'm Navy, so I want to prioritize Navy equipment. So I went for all purple equipment on my Navy as soon as possible. Something you could do, though, is you can put gray, green, or blue quality equipment on your off branches, so at least they're getting a little bit of something, and it doesn't take terribly long to make those equipment. So, for example, as I mentioned earlier, a blue equipment is going to take less than 12 days. So being able to fill these up with the best quality that's under purple doesn't take much time at all. Unfortunately, you won't be able to make all of them blue because, as you'll notice, not every category and not every branch has a blue or a green option for some odd reason. As far as which equipment you should do first, it really depends on your account. A lot of people like to go the weapon first. Once you've reached blue or higher, it starts to give a crit rate as well as a great attack increase and a slight HP bonus. If you like to play defensively or you're a big fan of hospital traps, I would recommend going the armor. Once you reach purple quality, it starts to give you a starting shield as well as an incredible HP bonus. The engine is also a good PvP item. Once you reach blue quality or better, it starts to give you a dodge increase as well as a slight attack increase and a moderate HP increase. The radar is often people's last pick. However, I think it's very underrated. It's very easy for people to stack up dodge. A lot of people have dodge, but very few people have hit. And once you reach purple quality or better, you are able to give hit to your units, which directly counters dodge. As far as the chips, a lot of people value the blue chips over the purple chips. Now, the blue chips give slight or moderate attack and HP increases, but their third effect, one of the blue chips is able to give a crit chance, the other one gives a hit rate, but the purple chip gives damage increase on normal attacks on one target. This means whenever your units perform a normal attack, one of the units they hit takes 17% more damage. So for example, if you're Navy hitting the whole front row, one of those units is going to take more damage. Army, of course, it's just going to be whichever one you hit. Air Force, it's one of the 3 units you hit, just like Navy. I do also want to double back to the merge page under drawings. Many of you have asked me about these blueprint shards, and unfortunately, I have been told this is a dead feature. I have never seen this used in the time I've been playing. I've been here for over a year. I've heard some old players say that it used to be a function in the game, but it is no longer a function. I don't even know why this page is here or why topwar hasn't taken it out, because there is currently no way to get a blueprint shard in the game. So this page can be completely disregarded as it has no use to us. Now, I did mention that there were additional ways to get materials outside of simply producing it with your arsenal. One of the things topwar recently added to the game is the sand table exercise now gives you white material choice boxes. For attacking the sand table exercise, you can get anywhere between 0 and 5 in my personal experience, depending in part on how much damage you do as well as how lucky you are. This allows you to pick a single white material of any type that you would like, so you can make them all transistors if you like, or all batteries. There are also radar missions that can give materials as a reward. I don't have one active right now, but it is similar to this orange one, except it's the version that only costs 5 VIT to complete. and looks like a mech. If you beat that, one of the possible rewards is a few random white materials. You can also find blue material choice boxes in the SVS store. After you've obtained Deliar as a hero, I think the two best buys in here are either the formation manuals or the blue material choice boxes. You couldn't go wrong with either one, but the material boxes are in here if you want to speed up your equipment. Also, if your alliance has the item ruin, one of the potential rewards in here is materials, depending on the level that you have your item ruin. We have ours maxed, and one of the rewards that we occasionally see is 5 green random material boxes. Also in the VIP store, if you've managed to reach VIP 12, you're able to buy blue material choice boxes for 400 apiece. You're able to get 20 a week. Other than these few methods, generally you're just going to have to keep an eye out for certain events to see if they offer materials. And of course, there are packs that you're able to purchase with real money, should you so choose to try and speed that up. Equipment is one of the hardest things to speed up in the game, and it's going to take you a long time. So it definitely wouldn't hurt trying to chase any materials you can get from other sources to cut down that 6-month wait time for an orange equipment down to something a little bit more reasonable. I believe that's everything I have on equipment. I mean, if I missed anything or if you guys have any questions, make sure to let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to drop a like while you're down there. Equipment is definitely a grind, but it's definitely something you don't want to ignore. Never let your material production cease. That needs to be running at all times. But thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to everybody who's subscribed. And as always, have a fantastic day. There is no way I'm still going to be playing this game long enough to have a full set of orange equipment.